Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Wednesday lunchtime drive-through. I am Damon King. I'm a certified financial planner professional and wealth management advisor with ChappelWood Financial Services. But today, right now, I'm in my capacity as the lead instructor for ChappelWood University, which is the educational branch of ChappelWood Financial. And today's topic is one that comes to us by request. One of our regular attendees to the Wednesday lunchtime drive-through, Eddie, asked for this. And so we are going to be discussing the financial impacts of very specific life-changing events: marriage, divorce, birth, and death. Now, those are not the only life-changing events that we'll experience in our lives, but they are four of those that, chances are one of these you're absolutely going to experience, all of us, okay? 100% probability that we're all going to pass away. So at some point, you're going to experience that one. Many of you on the call today are married, so you've experienced that one. Some of you have gone through a divorce, and so you've experienced that. And most of you on the call today have had children, or you were born. So there was a 100% chance that you were born, and there's a 100% chance that you're going to die. So let's dive in here to what are the financial impacts. So this presentation today is largely about emotion. Emotions drive our financial choices. Anything that alters your emotional state has the potential to alter your financial state. And you need look no further than the stock market every day to see the impact of emotion on people's financial decisions. The stock market, for all of its tracking and charting and algorithms and all of this research and study and all this stuff that goes into predicting what the stock market is going to do, for all of that, at the end of the day, the stock market is largely driven by emotion. And so that is why on any given day, you look at the stock market, you think, and I love to play this game because I know that emotion drives the market, which is why you don't want to make rash decisions on a daily basis, because people are high one day and low the next. And I love to play a game. I go online and I will look at the daily headlines and I'll see, oh, okay, well, there's some good news, there's some bad news, and I try to compare the good news and the bad news. And then based on that, I try to predict, okay, what is the market doing today? And you can play this game too. And if there's more bad news than good news and very specific bad news, okay, then you can almost guarantee that the market's going to be down that day. So play this game with yourself. Next time, just go online, read the headlines, and then Google the S&P and just see if the market's down or not. And you can almost always guess, based on the news that's out there, what is the market doing. But when it comes to financial choices, our individual financial choices, emotions drive them a lot. And it's often not about just the immediate cost that these things happen. So for example, we're going to talk about divorce today. Divorce is a huge life-changing event. It impacts you emotionally, mentally, physically, but it also impacts you financially. And the immediate cost of divorce, paying an attorney, watching some of your assets be split up, okay, that's an immediate cost. But then your emotional state in the aftermath of that could cause you to go out and exacerbate that problem even more by making poor financial choices. So all emotions, regardless of whether they're positive or negative emotions, have the ability to impact your financial choices. Anger, elation, sadness, fear, even hopefulness. What are we seeing right now? The market's doing this. Why? What has changed? We still have the virus. The economy is still struggling. What's causing this? Hope, hopefulness, positivity, optimism. That's what's driving the stock market right now. Hope that we're going to get a vaccine. Well, we have a vaccine, and hope that that vaccine is going to help get rid of this virus, or at least control it, so that we can go back to normal life, right? That's what's driving the market. As a result, maybe you wouldn't ordinarily get into the market, but a lot of people are jumping into the market at a high point because they're hopeful and they want to jump on the bandwagon. It's called FOMO, the fear of missing out. So be aware, understand that emotion drives most, if not all, of your financial decisions at the end of the day. And all life-changing events have financial impacts. Okay, now there are more. We're not going to cover all of the life-changing events today, but marriage, divorce, birth, death, all of these things create strong emotions. All of these emotions can cause you to overspend. They can cause you to act irrationally. They can cause you to fail to protect yourself because you are thinking with your emotions and not with your brain. All right. They can cause you to ignore other important needs. They can cause you to withdraw from life. Okay. You cannot, and nor should you, ignore your emotions. You are a human being. Your emotions are part of who you are. I am not a psychological, I'm not a psychologist, but I would never tell you ignore your emotions. However, I will tell you to avoid making major financial decisions when you are still in an extremely precarious emotional state. That's why we often counsel clients after a marriage, a divorce, a birth, a death, a job loss, a job change, anything like that. We often say, avoid making any major financial changes in your life, except for the few that you need to. Avoid making any major decisions or changes for the next 6 months, maybe a year, because of this impact. All right. So let's talk about financial considerations of each one of these things. So let's talk about marriage, and specifically a first marriage. Okay. So you only get one first marriage, right? Everything else after that is a remarriage, either due to divorce or because your spouse passed away. Now, there are going to be some of these things that are common throughout. And one of the common things is any major life change that we're going to talk about today involves new people either coming into your life or going out of your life. And when new people come and go in your life, you want to make sure that you include them or exclude them from your life, depending upon the situation. And one way you can do that is through updating your beneficiary designation. So when you get married for the first time, or maybe you're married now to the very first person that you married, and you've been married for however many years, you want to make sure that your beneficiary designations are updated. So update the beneficiary designations on your life insurance policies, your retirement accounts, things like that. Now, one question that Eddie did ask about was, prenuptial agreement. Now, I will tell you that in our experience, prenuptial agreements are not as common when you're dealing with the first marriage, okay? And there's a reason for that, right? You're usually young and maybe your early 20s, your mid 20s, okay? Life is so wonderful. You're intoxicated by love and romance and all this stuff. And, plus at that point in your life, you don't have much stuff to protect, right? You don't have as much money, you don't have as many assets, things like that. And a lot of people look at a prenuptial agreement as unromantic. You're planning for the marriage to fail. Okay, that's fine. But should you consider a prenuptial agreement? Well, from the standpoint of just finances, not a bad idea. Okay. There are right and wrong ways to try to address that, but that's for a whole other class. Some other things, are you going to keep things jointly or is it going to be yours and mine? And it's about 50-50. In our experience here at ChappelWood, it's about 50-50 are married couples who everything is joint. There is no my account and her account. It's all together. We do everything together. And then there are others who are like, well, I've got my account and he's got his account. We both know what's in each other's accounts, and we do have some joint assets, but we keep some things separately. You're going to have to find out who is the financial person. Okay, it almost always happens in any marriage. There's one person who handles all the finances, and then there's another person who just doesn't care. They don't want it. They want to go as far away from it as possible. And this isn't always the man. Okay, so you might think, well, it's often the husband who handles the financial matters and the wife does not, okay, or the spouse does not, okay. That's not really true. In fact, we see about 50-50. That might be surprising to some of you, but it's about 50-50 where either the husband or the wife is the primary financial watchdog, and the other person just kind of is along for the ride, at least in that regard. So there's a big point about this, and that is in any married couple. Okay, so fine, you have a CFO, all right, the chief financial officer, because that's what marriage is, isn't it? It's a legally recognized business entity. It is Mr. and Mrs. Incorporated. You sign a piece of paperwork with your marriage license and you file that with the county and with the IRS, not your marriage license, but your tax return, right? So you have a legally recognized business that has profit and loss and taxes. So somebody is the CFO, but the other person needs to be involved in this, because we see too often married couples, one person is involved in the finances, the other is not, and it never fails that the person who knows where everything is and knows all the passwords to the accounts and all the assets, that's the person that passes away first. The other person who was not as involved doesn't know a lot of this stuff, does not know where everything is. And that can create some extremely challenging and scary and uncertain situations. Also, you want to create an estate plan. You want to make sure that you have simple wills in place, maybe a trust, from an advisor viewpoint. So Eddie also asked, hey, Damon, when you're talking about this, can you share what you see from your experience with other clients? So I'm giving you my advisor view. And the simple advisor view here is that marriages that are not on the same financial page are less likely to survive. Okay. Now, even if you keep your assets separate, I've got my account and she's got her account, that's fine. Okay. I'm not saying if you keep your assets separate that your marriage is going to fail. What I am saying is that if one person knows where everything is and the other person doesn't, at some point, the person who doesn't is going to become resentful and is going to think, okay, what happens if this person dies, or what happens if this person leaves? Trust me, you want to be on the same page financially, okay? And of course, at any time, if you have any questions or thoughts, please leave your questions in the Q&A box, or you can leave it in the chat, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you have today. Some financial considerations upon a divorce. Okay, so now we're getting into some difficult situations. Okay, this happy, right? Everyone loves marriage. Weddings are great, and we don't expect anything to go wrong. But as we see from statistics, half of marriages end in divorce. You got a 1 out of 2 chance of your marriage ending in divorce in the United States. Those are some pretty steep odds. So if you have been through a divorce, you've already experienced some of this. Maybe you're going through it right now. Maybe you're in a difficult situation with your marriage, and you should always try to save your marriage. But if it doesn't look like it's going to go that way, here are some things that you should consider. You want to update your beneficiary designations. This is going to sound like a broken record because this is number 1 on all of them, all right? You do not want to leave money to your ex unless a court tells you to, unless you have some kind of a court judgment that says you have to purchase life insurance and name your ex as the beneficiary as protection or something like that. But one of the biggest mistakes that we see people make is after a divorce, or even after the death of a spouse, they leave the ex-spouse on life insurance policies, or they leave the ex-spouse on retirement accounts as the beneficiary. Later on, maybe they get remarried, maybe they don't. But the point is that later on, when you pass away, you think that you've taken care of all of this money in your trust, in your will, but you didn't update the beneficiary designations. Do you know that beneficiary designations supersede anything that is in your estate plan? I mean, unless you've named your estate the beneficiary, right? But if you've named another living human being as the beneficiary, that will supersede anything else that is in your estate plan. The custodian of that money is going to send it by process of law to whomever the named beneficiary is. So if you got remarried and you want to leave something to your current spouse, but you've left your ex-spouse who you despise as the beneficiary, who do you think is going to get the money? So update your beneficiary designations. Another mistake that we see people make, or at least it's something that I would love to see more people consider. You need to focus on liquid and or income generating assets in a divorce. And ladies, we often see this happen to you. Women often will focus on the house. I want the house. I want a place to live. That's where our children grew up. That's where our life was made. Now, some women, some people are like, look, I want to get rid of anything that's going to remind me of my old life. Others are like, look, I want the security and I want the house. Meanwhile, they'll allow their soon to be ex-husband to take the 401k and the retirement accounts and cash and things like that. I understand that feeling. You want the security of a place to live. Houses can be easily replaced. They can. Cash, retirement accounts, things that you contributed to. Maybe it's his 401k, but you contributed assets as well. So I would encourage you to focus on liquid assets as opposed to things like a house or a car. Those are harder to convert into money, into cash. And in a divorce, divorce involves financial survival. Okay? I know you're hurting. I know it's extremely emotionally heartrending. It's terrible. I've not been through a divorce, thank God, so far, but I've seen people who have, and we have clients that have been through it. I know it's emotionally terrifying and terrible, but this is about financial survival. You should never, ever, 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 ever assume that your ex-spouse is going to do the right thing. Don't assume that. Money, especially the division of money, does weird things to people. I've seen it happen in divorces where we're going to be amicable. I've seen it happen in deaths when mom or dad passes away and then the family, like locusts, descend upon the assets. But they're a good family. Everyone loves each other. There's no place for love when money is involved. I hate to sound like a very cynical, evil person, but that's just life. So you need to focus on assets and you need to demand an accounting of all the assets that are there. What are they? Where are they? What is pre-tax? What is after tax? What is liquid and what is illiquid? I've got a client right now, Sally, down in Texas. She has just gone through a terrible divorce and the assets got split apart. And in the course of helping her put together an income plan for her, what we found out was that her husband years ago had purchased these assets that are highly illiquid. We're talking about real estate assets. We're talking about some other very specialized alternative assets, and she can't sell them. She gets half of them, but she can't sell them. Many of them have experienced significant losses. So she has no choice, number one, to hold on to them until they can come back up. But the other problem that she has is that she cannot sell these assets. They are very risky assets too, much higher in risk than she personally wants to be. So she did not know until we helped her to demand an accounting. We want a list of all the assets. You can be civil yet forceful. All right. You want someone on your side fighting for you. Okay. This is about your survival. What about a remarriage? Again, you get remarried. Maybe you were married before, and if it was a divorce and that person is still living, or even if they passed away, make sure you update your beneficiary designations. All right. And it may be, maybe you've got children from your previous marriage. So instead of having your ex-spouse, or if they've predeceased you, having them, make sure that you have your children. Okay. You want to make sure that you name your children beneficiaries, things like that. It is much more common in the case of remarriage that we see prenuptial agreements. And Eddie asked the question, is it a good idea? It is absolutely a good idea, particularly if one or both of you come into the marriage with substantial assets, okay? Because let's say it's you that has substantial assets and your soon-to-be new spouse does not. You've got to be careful. Do you want You may love this person, but do you want $3 million that you've saved to go to them? And in many ways, they're now relying upon you as their retirement plan, right? You also run the risk of accidentally disinheriting your children from your previous marriage, okay? What about survivor benefits? One of the comments that Eddie made was that he's got an annuity that's coming to him, okay? So it's like a pension, all right? And if he were to get remarried, one of the options that you can choose on a pension is what's called joint and survivor, all right? So what that means is you'll get income for the rest of your life, and then when you die, that income could continue for whoever your spouse is, all right, or whomever you name at that time. His question was, look, if I get remarried, do I really want to select the joint income option? Because if you select the joint income option, then your income while you're still living is going to go down, right? Because it's the same pool of money, but now it's going to be split between two people instead of just one person. So his question was, is that something, I mean, do I really want to do that? Now, I could tell by the wording of his question that he doesn't want to do that, okay? And Eddie, you're probably laughing or smiling right now about this. It's a valid question. So if you get remarried and you have some stream of income coming to you, like a pension or an annuity or something like that, and you have a joint and survivor option, do you really want to lower your income to help the other person? I don't know. That's up to you. But I would look at, does the other person already have their own assets? It may not be necessary for you to do that. That way you have your income and they have their income. You're still in love and you're still married, but you can both have your own income. Let's see here. We do have a question. Yeah, Eddie was laughing about that. Yeah. So you may not need joint income. You might just go ahead and take the income for you, and that way it'll be higher. Um, Estate planning is very important. Okay, in this case, estate planning with a remarriage is very, very important. If you remarry later in your life, say in your 50s or 60s, maybe even your 70s, I mean, you're not dead, right? You can still fall in love. Keep yourself open to love, to receive love. But chances are you both have children from a previous marriage. So you want to make sure that your estate plan very clearly states, my children get this from my estate, her children get this, or his children get this from their estate, and neither of the two shall meet, right? Because there is no shame or loss of romance in having a prenup, okay? Your families will feel better about it, and you will too. If you're going to get remarried to somebody and you're in love and you propose or they propose to you, or you just both agree to get married, you should have a conversation about having a prenuptial agreement, particularly if you have substantial assets. It's just protection for you. And if that's going to be a problem for them, well, you might want to consider just keeping this a free and loose relationship, if you know what I mean. Okay. I'm doing this for your protection. Okay. I'm not anti-love or romance. I'm married myself. But as an advisor, my job is to protect my clients. You should protect yourself. Okay. No one else is going to do it. Protect yourself. What about the birth of a child or caring for a dependent? So, you know, if you're a young family, yeah, you're going to have children, but there are many grandparents who are caring for grandchildren. Or perhaps you are an adult child who is caring for an aging parent, and maybe they are a dependent of yours. All right. So, again, update your beneficiary designations, particularly if you have young children. Now, if you're caring for an adult, chances are they've got their own assets. And if it's an older parent, well, they're probably going to predecease you. So, probably not as important. But particularly if you've got children who are still living in your home, they don't have to be tiny. Maybe they're in college, but they're still your dependent. So update your beneficiary designations when a new child is born. Or maybe you have a new grandchild and you want to include the new grandchild as part of your estate plan. And when I say update beneficiary designations, that could be as simple as your life insurance or retirement accounts, it may necessitate updating your estate plan as well. All right. So you want to make sure that you do those kinds of things. If you are caring for children, or really anybody that is depending upon your ability to generate income, and if you were lost, your stream of income would also be lost and they would become impoverished, then you absolutely should consider purchasing life insurance to indemnify them, protect them against the loss of income, as well as disability income insurance to protect you if you are injured and you can no longer work. The second greatest asset you will ever own in your life is your ability to generate income. The most important asset is time, okay? And the less of it you have, the more valuable it becomes, right? But the second most is your ability to generate income. Guard it jealously, protect it. Protect your ability to generate income. And if you have people that depend on your income for life and survival, you need to protect them, because if you die, you don't need it, right? But you're protecting them, all right? So the greatest risk you face when caring for others is the loss of income. Take all precautions to protect that income. When the time comes that nobody else depends on you for income, you can get rid of the life insurance. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, life insurance serves one key role: income replacement. When that need is gone, and you're in your 60s or 70s, let's say, and you've got grown-up kids, people ask me all the time, should I keep my term life insurance policy? Should I keep paying for it? My response is, well, does anybody depend upon you for income? If they don't, you've got sufficient assets to live, okay? Your spouse has sufficient assets to live. Life insurance is not nearly as important. You know what is a greater risk to you? Needing long-term care insurance, going into a nursing home. That's your greatest risk now. Your kids are grown. They don't need your money. You may need your money if you have to go into a nursing home. So at that point, trading in life insurance for long-term care insurance might be a better thing. All right. And then finally, financial considerations from the death of a loved one, and then we'll wrap up here. First of all, take some time for yourself. Losing a loved one to death, and divorce is a lot like a death. It's an emotional death, right? But truly losing somebody is one of the most traumatic things we as humans experience. We know it's going to happen, but it's never easy, right? And so you should absolutely take some time for yourself, because it's going to take some time to heal. I know some of you on the call today, just in the last 12 to 18 months, have lost somebody. And I'm not going to tell you I know what it's like, because everybody's different. I've lost people, yes. My pain is unique to me. I don't know how you're feeling, but I know it doesn't feel good. So again, take some time for yourself. You also need to consider, though, the financial implications. And so again, update your beneficiary designations. Get some help with dealing with transfer of inherited assets. Maybe you already have a trusted advisor, whether they are a financial advisor, an investment advisor like we are. Maybe it's your CPA, maybe it's your attorney, somebody. It might be a family member, someone who can help you deal with this, because you are in an extremely compromised emotional state, and you could very easily make a mistake. You could overlook something, all right? You also need to remember, as time goes by, there may be some survivor benefits available to you, whether it's through Social Security. Maybe they were a veteran and there are veterans benefits available to you. Maybe they were civil service, military service, fire, police officer, something like that. What are streams of income available to you? Annuities that maybe they had that you could derive a stream of income. Maybe life insurance that you are the beneficiary on the death benefit. So these are all things that you need to think about. I am going to share with you. Let's see, we've already answered that question. Real quick, here's what I'd like to do. I'm going to share in the chat right now a white paper that we utilize here at ChappelWood Financial. So I'm going to go into the chat right now, and I'm going to share it with everybody. It's a link. So I just shared a link in the chat window for everybody. And this is a link to our survivors checklist here at ChappelWood that we use. So if you've experienced a death here recently and you are struggling with what should I do next, or what are the things I should do, click that link, and that's a free download to our survivors checklist, so that it gives you some things that you should think about. All right. You also don't want to make too many changes in your first year when you lose somebody, because again, you're in a tough emotional state. But just know that your life has changed. Your income needs will likely change. One of the hardest things that we see, one of the hardest transitions we see people have to make, is the transition from what was once ours together is now just mine. We know that logically, but the moment we accept that in our mind and in our heart, then the person is truly gone, right? That's why it's hard. That's why it's hard for people to open their hearts to love again, to remarry sometime later. Maybe they feel that they're betraying the memory of the person that they lost. But you deserve to be happy, okay? We all deserve to be happy. And if you have gone through a divorce or the death of a loved one, or you're just struggling, this is about you, all right? It's not about anybody else. Maybe you have children and you need to take care of them too, but your family will be better served if you take care of yourself first. What do they tell you on an airplane? If we have a loss of cabin pressure and the oxygen masks come down, put on your own mask first. You're not going to do anybody any good if you try to go around and help, but then you pass out because of lack of oxygen. Put your own mask on first, then you can take care of other people. That's what you need to do in these kinds of situations as well. So are there any questions that anybody has? We've gone a little bit longer here, and I appreciate you hanging on here. Okay, Eddie. Eddie asks this question: where can I find a single woman who wants a prenup because she has significantly more assets than me? I do not know, Eddie. I'm a married man, so I'm not allowed to look at those places. My wife told me not to. Okay, so anyway, I don't know. I don't know. It's a great thing. But I will say this. You know, if you're going to get remarried, have a prenup. I don't care if it seems unromantic. Have a prenup. You've worked too hard. You've worked too hard for what you've got. You need to protect it. You need to protect yourself. And I'm not going to apologize for feeling this way. That's why you want bulldogs. If you're going through a divorce, you want bulldogs on your team. You want your divorce attorney to be a bulldog. You want your financial advisor to be a bulldog. We're not going to let the other side get away with anything. Like I said, don't just trust somebody to do the right thing. It almost never happens like that. All right. So again, I sound like a jerk, I know, but sometimes our clients need us to be jerks to get things done, right? And to protect them. Now, one last thing here. If you have any other questions, please let me know. But I want to update you real quick, and then I will let you go for the year so you can enjoy Christmas. This is the last lunchtime drive-through of 2020. We're going to pick back up again on Wednesday, January the 6th. So we're going to take a few weeks off. I'll be back here. You'll be back here on Wednesday, January the 6th, 2021. Yay! No more 2020, right? It's going to be behind us, and 2020 is going to be better. But I do need to let you know that I'm going to change the time slightly to begin at 12:30 instead of noon. We're going to start at 12:30. Now, you're going to get a reminder of this. And when I change the time, those of you who are already enrolled for all of 2021, I've already set up all the dates, and you're going to get the reminders, but you'll get the reminder that we're going to start at 12:30. The reason I need to make this change is that every Wednesday I have clients that come in around 11 o'clock. That's one of my appointment times. And it never fails that I'm running up against time and I have to rush in here to get started, and I don't like being late. So we're going to get started at 12:30. Yeah, Eddie, we have an anonymous attendee who says, just be careful. Okay, so, you know, if you go after You go after a powerful woman, she can eat you alive. So you got to be careful. All right. And he said, and Eddie, you're very welcome. You're very welcome for the information. I want to tell you all that I have really enjoyed these classes, these webinars. Just on a lark, I decided to do this as a supplement to our Rock Your Retirement course, and it has gone off gangbusters. So I want to thank you all for coming every Wednesday. I want to ask you to share the link to register for this, okay? Because there are a lot of other people who need this information, and if you know somebody that could benefit from these, please share the link to register. Or if you don't have the link and you want me to send it to you, just email me at damon@chappelwood.com. I will send you the registration link, and then you can forward it out to anybody that you want to. I also still welcome your ideas for 2021. I'm looking for ideas. Okay, it's hard coming up with a new topic that I think is going to interest you guys every week, just like it's hard writing 52 new radio shows every year. I know you can cry for me later on. You're like, yeah, Damon, okay, yeah, we feel so bad for you, right? But I do need your help. So send me your topic ideas for 2021. Email those to damon@chappelwood.com. And then finally, if I can switch the slides here, our next Rock Your Retirement class is scheduled for January 21st and 28th. So you can go to ChappelWood for ChappelWoodUniversity.com to get enrolled in that, or you can share that link with a friend or a family member, anybody that you know needs some retirement education. So with that, we are finished for 2021. Thank you so much again for participating all year long, or at least for the last few months. Next year, we're going to be together for the whole year, and I cannot wait. It's going to be a great 2021. I feel really optimistic about where the market is going, where the economy is going. And, and if you want to know the reasons why, you just want to call me and ask me, Damon, why do you feel so good about the market? Well, call me. 3480909 is our number, area code 405. And I'll tell you exactly why I feel good about 2021. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Stay safe. Be prosperous. And I will see you in 2021. Take care. Bye-bye.